Yes. I'd like to report a murder.
Just a minute, ma'am.
Thank you.
Here you are.
Thanks.
He's on his way back.
Hey, Bobby.
He's in your office.
Ellen Ferris,
Yes.
Rick Mauser, homicide.
Hi.
They said you wanted to talk about a murder.
Yes.
Who's been murdered?
A woman named Lorraine Ferris?
Councilwoman Ferris, relative of yours?
In a way. She was married to my ex-husband.
Okay. Let's start from the beginning. Who do you think killed Lorraine Ferris?
Equals 4, right? So 7x equals 4 in these next couple of problems. So in this one, 1 over 7 times 4, which we now is 4. So you don't need that anymore. Equals 1 over 7 times 4, right? Mom, something wrong?
I need to talk to you girls about your father. I found out that he's done something really awful. And I know how much you girls care about him, so this isn't going to be easy to hear. Back when you were little girls, and when I first started getting so sick, the reason was your father was feeding me poison. And he did the same thing to Lorraine. I believe that's what killed her. And last night I went to the police and I told them.
This is crazy.
Danielle.
Mom, are you sure about this?
Honey, I wouldn't make an accusation like this if I didn't have a good reason, if I didn't have proof.
Why would Dad ever want to hurt you?
I don't know, I can't understand it. Before I got so sick, I thought the marriage was okay. And then we got divorced. I just assumed David left because my illness was so overwhelming, you know. I don't know. I don't know why he would deliberately poison me and Lorraine. I don't understand it.
Does Dad know you went to the police?
Well, they will soon enough.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Ferris.
Doctor.
Pardon?
Dr. Ferris.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Ferris. Detective Mauser. I was wondering if I could speak with you a minute.
Certainly, Detective. About what?
I see you got the place up for sale. Too painful to stay, huh?
Too expensive. Lorraine and I needed both our incomes to keep it up.
That's too bad. No insurance on Lorraine to help you through?
No insurance.
You got a new place lined up? Apartment near campus?
Is there a point to these questions, Detective?
Well, yes, your ex-wife, she stopped by the station and
Yes, Ellen. My neurotic, hypochondriacal ex-wife.
She did admit to being ill. Seems to think you might have had something to do with it.
Which is why I divorced her. The woman is a borderline recluse. She stays in her room all day, curtains drawn, living in her fantasies. And if she got you to buy into one of them, I'm afraid you wasted your time.
When a young and otherwise healthy city official suddenly dies, that's not anybody's fantasy.
Is this a formal investigation, Detective?
No. Otherwise, I need a warrant to come walking in here. No, this is just two guys standing around talking.
Oh, well, as long as it's just us guys. Did Ellen mention anything about the $30,000 I owe her in alimony?
No. No, she didn't.
Of course she didn't. She tends to leave out little details like that. She wouldn't want you to think there's any kind of agenda behind these accusations.
30,000. That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. But I know where I can get it real fast. Sue the city for harassment. And that's exactly what I'll do if you pay me any more of these little visits. Have a lovely day, Detective.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. Thank you. Oh, excuse me.
How dare you? How dare you send the police to my house?
Detective Mauser seemed to think that there were some things worth looking into.
Well, of course, he'd love to pin Lorraine's death on somebody. You just handed him a target.
I know how you poisoned me, David. I saw you that night in the garage. You know I did.
Was that your new thing? Recovered memory syndrome?
You did this to me, David. It wasn't some psychosomatic mystery ailment. You did it to me, and I want to know why.
Ellen, you are really sick. You know that? You make any more of these wild accusations, I will reopen our custody agreement. The police aren't going to find anything because there's nothing for them to find. And once they've finished, I will have proof just how delusional you truly are. And I will use that to take Danielle. Sarah's too old, but Danielle's not. So keep pushing, Ellen. Just keep pushing, and I will take her from you.
What else?
I checked on Dr. Ferris. This woman he's going to be moving in with, Catherine Moray, they filed for a marriage license last week. His wife's body isn't even cold.
There is no body. We had it cremated.
You know what I mean. About that other thing, smelling chlorine during the autopsy, I emailed Noreen, asked if she could figure any reason for it. This is what she sent back.
Hallelujah, Noreen. Andy, get on the phone. Ask the coroner if they were sent tissue samples from Lorraine Ferris. If they have them, you tell him they better take another look.
No, I'm not going to hurt you. I would never do that. I just came here to apologize. It was a stupid thing I did today. I don't know, I just lost control.
David, I want you to leave this room. Now.
Can't we just talk like two civilized human beings? There's a part of me that's still very attached to you. And I want you to know that I forgive you for sending over that offensive detective.
You forgive me? You forgive me? Get out of here! Get out or I'll call the police!
What are you doing here?
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to apologize. I want you to take care of your mother, honey. She needs help.
Just go.
Get out of my house. Dad, come quick.
Dr. Ferris, this is a warrant to search your home. Gentlemen!
Dad, what's going on? We got police here.
Don't worry about it. They'll be gone soon. What's the problem, Detective?
Your attorney will explain it to you. You're under arrest, Doctor. Read him his rights, Andy. Hands behind
You
your
have the
back.
right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. You cannot afford an attorney. One will be appointed to you by the state.
I hope they made you comfortable, Dr. Ferris. Can I get you anything? Coffee, water?
Thank you, no, I'm fine.
You realize you have the right to have your attorney present?
I have nothing to hide, Detective.
I spoke with your son, Graham. He told me how he went to call the ambulance that morning, and when he came back, you had the door to the study shut, wouldn't let him in. Any reason for that?
His mother was dying. Would you want your child to see that?
Did you love your wife, Dr. Ferris?
Passionately.
No problems between you?
Every husband and wife have their problems. Ours were no more than ordinary. Nothing that would make me want to ever harm Lorraine.
And the selection thing. Lorraine running for city council. No resentment or jealousy there?
None whatsoever. I worked very hard on that campaign. I helped her win.
So you loved your wife passionately. But apparently, you're already planning to marry someone else. Not much for grieving period, are you? Do you know anything about mining?
Mining?
That's right.
Not really, no.
Mrs. Ferris, I'm Assistant DA John Hodges.
Hi.
Hi, shall we go into my office?
Sure.
I'll be prosecuting the case against your former husband if it goes to trial. You know Detective Mauser. This is our toxicology expert, Noreen Summers.
Hello, Mrs. Ferris.
I'm trying to put together a case against your ex. We confiscated his computer, hoping to find something, anything. Financial records, journal entries.
The good doctor erased everything, wiped it clean. We're seeing if we can retrieve anything off the hard drive.
We do have a cause of death. Cyanide was found in samples of Lorraine's tissue.
Cyanide?
Yes.
We think Mr. Ferris switched poisons, looking to speed up the process.
Cyanide has a very distinct odor, and he used chlorine to mask it. When Lorraine was unconscious in the study, he probably fed her a water purification tablet.
Oh, my God. Well, if you found cyanide, wasn't there any selenium?
Well, when they went to Mexico, Mr. Ferris probably stopped dosing her. And by the time the autopsy was done, it had already run through her system.
None of which we can prove.
But I know that he killed her. I know that he poisoned me. You can't let him get away with this.
If I go into that courtroom without any direct links to David, he will get away with this. Lorraine, she can't take the stand, which means you're going to have to. You're going to have to tell that jury why. why he was trying to poison you.
I wish I could tell you that.
Well, he must have had a reason. We're just, going to have to find it.
You couldn't get bail? How could that be? I have no criminal record. I'm a pillar of the community.
Tom, they have no direct evidence. It's all circumstantial.
The heinous nature of the crime, Lorraine's position in the city.
I thought you said he was the best.
Dr. Ferris, I've accepted your case because Catherine asked me to. If you have no confidence in my ability...
They have me caged like a dog. I'm bunking with crackheads and thieves. I want you to get me out.
Then you need to start listening to me. You take no more conferences without me present.
What was I supposed to do? Let them think I'm guilty?
They already think you're guilty. That's why they arrested you. Do you know where you are? Is any of this getting through?
You don't speak to me that way. You find out what they have, you follow what I say, and I will save both our reputations.
Girls! Girls, let's go! You're gonna be late!
Graham, how could you do this? How could you send my dad to jail? You lied. My father would never hurt my mother. You're a liar.
Graham, I didn't
You're
lie.
jealous. You want to ruin everything. You're a liar. Just leave us alone. Just leave me and my dad alone. All of you. Just stay out of our lives.
I think we may have a motive in your case, Mrs. Ferris. I need you to tell me again, how did David and Lorraine meet?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was at a university fundraiser a few months after we got divorced. Lorraine's father was on the board of regents, and David was still teaching at the junior college.
And that's the story David told you.
Yes?
Let's talk in my office.
It's just not fair, you know. Graham hates us because of what you did. I lost my best friend. You know, he isn't calling. He's not talking to me. He's blaming me, like I had something to do with this. After what happened, he probably will never talk to me ever again.
Danielle, this is not about what I did. This is about what your father did. I just found out from the police this morning that your father had been seeing Lorraine long before we ever got divorced. They checked his bank records. He'd been keeping an apartment for her. Her name was on the lease. That's why he was poisoning me, so that he could leave us without ever having to tell the truth. And he could blame me and my illness, which he created, for the divorce, and yet he could still remain the hero to his children. He lied to you. He lied to me, and I'm sure that he lied to Lorraine. This is ugly, I know. It happens to be the truth. Somehow you're just gonna have to accept it. In my life. It's all been a lie.
Ellen. David's attorney filed for dismissal, something they found in Lorraine's medical records.
What?
That's what we're about to find out. Excuse me, gentlemen, please.
As you can see, Your Honor, The deceased went to the Cordero Clinic in Guadalajara, Mexico. As part of her treatment there, she was administered Laetrile IVs.
The significance being?
A Laetrile is used to kill aberrant cells. It does so by releasing small amounts of cyanide into the bloodstream. This would account for the cyanide found in Mrs. Ferris's tissue samples.
Mr. Hodges.
There's absolutely no way that the Laetrile treatment could account for such a concentration of cyanide in Mrs. Ferris's tissue. This was a lethal amount. And besides that, the treatment was given 3 weeks before Mrs. Ferris died. The effects of the Laetrile would have passed from her system.
We have doctors who will argue otherwise, Your Honor.
Mr. Hodges, do you have any evidence that ties Dr. Ferris to the cyanide found in his wife's tissue?
We're working on that, Your Honor.
Well, when you've established it, you may refile. As of now, this case is dismissed. Dr. Ferris, you're free to go.
That's it?
We need to find more evidence, Ellen. Keep building our case.
Listen, I told you.
And do you, David, take Catherine to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, or richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do you part?
I do.
Then I now pronounce you man and wife.
Thank you, Reverend. Hi. Excuse me for 1 minute. I don't recall inviting you.
When I heard you were getting married, I couldn't believe it, so I came to see for myself.
I think you better leave.
Oh, this isn't over, David. I promise you, this is not over. What's going on?
Nothing, sweetheart. She's leaving right now, that's all. Come on. Pay no attention. She's very, very disturbed. Sorry. Pay no attention to her. Let's just have something to drink. That's it. Come on. Well.
Deposition?
Yeah. Okay. Mrs. Ferris?
Yeah.
How often do you get like this?
Well, I can go a week or two without any pain, and suddenly it'll hit.
Mrs. Ferris, how are you doing?
All right.
I wasn't expecting you for another hour. We were just on our way to lunch.
Oh, I know. It's just that I knew you were going to be calling, and I hadn't heard anything, and I just got a little nervous.
The case is coming together, I promise you. It is happening.
Ellen, they've managed to recover some of the files on Dr. Ferris's computer. What we have already explains why he wanted those files erased. He believed his wife was having an affair with the city council president. The man was obsessed with it.
And was she?
Not that we know of.
Mom, can I get you some tea or some soup or something?
That sounds great. Thanks, hon. Now, where did this chicken come from? Did you make it?
No.
Well, somebody did's half eaten. Danielle?
She's lost a lot of fluids. Vomiting, diarrhea. They'll keep her on IV overnight. But she should be back up to full strength by tomorrow.
Lab analyzed the chicken. Salmonella. If he did put it on one of your plates, he didn't leave any prints. There's no way we can connect the two.
You feeling any better?
How could Dad do this?
It was meant for me, honey.
How could he do it to anybody? I'm so sorry. I didn't believe you.
Danielle?
Hi.
Hi. Sarah called and told me you guys were here. Can I talk to her a minute?
Sure. I'll just be right outside.
Dr. Canton, pick up line 4. Dr. Canton, line 4.
How you doing?
Okay. I was so sick.
What happened? So, how's she feeling?
I hope you don't think that you're going in there.
She is my daughter.
Oh, you are not going in there.
It's a terrible thing, isn't it? When people intrude into your life, disrupt the most precious parts of it. Let's just pray that this doesn't ever happen again to either one of us. Okay?
If it can be tampered with, bag it, people.
Yeah, I got it.
Now on, we eat our food fresh and from takeout. You don't see me buying it and handing it to you, don't touch it, Danielle. These are yours in the hospital. These I just bought. We're gonna keep all the medicine in here. Open it up, take what you need, and then just lock it up.
Ellen?
Yes?
Did your children drink this coffee?
No, just me.
You told me you had some short-term memory loss along with your other symptoms.
Every now and then, yes.
Rick, dust a can for prints and run the contents through the lab. Ellen, I think we're gonna have to do a biopsy.
Bring the gradient closer.
Mr. Barwick.
Detective, nice
Morning.
to see you. You'll need that. Now watch yourself in here. We've been closed down for quite a while, waiting for the price of gold to come back up.
Dr. Ferris was a partner here?
Yeah. Yeah, he put in about $5,000. Like to say he owned part of a gold mine.
Did he ever come up here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a couple of times.
And you were using the standard procedure to separate the gold from the ore?
That's right. We got kind of a low-grade ore up there.
with this. And this is the stuff that you use?
Yeah, that's it.
Did Dr. Ferris have access to this?
Yeah, he could have gotten into it.
This is Mauser and John Hodges.
The reason none of your doctors could find anything, they were looking in your bloodstream. But that's the wrong place. We found a concentration of selenium in your kidneys. Your ex-husband has been giving you tiny doses on a regular basis.
We have Dr. Ferris's prints on the can, we have selenium in the coffee, and we have proof that he had access to the cyanide. So, we have our direct evidence. Rick, what do you say we arrest the good doctor?
Time for court.
Phil, you gotta come with me. You need the room.
Dr. Ferris, I don't feel you've been candid with me, and that is a very big mistake. They've taken a lot of files off your hard drive, as you know, some very damaging material. I'm still not sure what we're going to do about that.
It's simple. I'm going to get up on the stand and explain.
What? Absolutely not. There's no way I'm letting you take the stand, all those ramblings on your computer.
The jury will believe what I tell them. It's a matter of interpretation.
Interpretation? What are you talking about? You've given them a motive. It's all there in black and white.
Would you relax? I'm telling you, that's why I need to get up there, to explain what all that really means.
They have a coffee can with poison and your prints all over it. Do you honestly think I'm going to let them question you about that? If you're looking to destroy yourself, it is not going to be with me as your attorney. Do you understand?
You're going to quit on me? In the middle of a murder trial? What would the state bar say about that? What would the media say? Attorney abandons client in final hour?
I'm going to have a word with the judge. There's no way you're taking that stand.
I pay you to listen.
Yes, well, that very well may be, but I'm going to have a conversation.
Hey! You okay?
Your Honor, for my next witness, I would like to call my client, Dr. David Ferris.
Put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Dr. Ferris, you are aware, as the defendant in this trial, you cannot be forced to testify.
Yes, I am aware of that.
And yet you've volunteered to do so. To forego your constitutional rights. Why is that?
The prosecution is claiming that my wife was poisoned to death. I've come to believe that is true.
You've come to believe that Lorraine was poisoned?
Yes.
By whom?
Shortly after Lorraine was elected to the city council, a man came to her, a contractor. She never told me who. He gave her information about rigged construction bids, kickbacks to certain members of the city administration, and Lorraine began looking into these allegations.
Putting herself in jeopardy.
We received numerous late-night phone calls, death threats. I begged her to go to the police, but Lorraine wasn't sure she could trust the police.
And where is this information now?
Gone.
Gone.
I discovered it missing the night after the police searched my house.
Mr. Hodges, you may proceed.
You were questioned by homicide detective Richard Mauser. During that interview, you said that you loved your wife passionately. Sound accurate?
Yes.
Isn't it true you believed your wife was having an affair?
No.
Dr. Ferris, these are the journal pages that were retrieved from your computer's hard drive, and they clearly show a concern for your wife's fidelity. But before we get to that, this is an entry dated May 14th of this past year. Would you mind reading where it is underlined? Please.
Our love-hate relationship has now turned into pure hatred. There will be a drastic change coming, and soon.
Is that what you meant by a passionate relationship with your wife? Pure hatred?
Every husband or wife has moments where they become angry at their spouse. That was one of mine. It passed quickly, that's why I chose to delete it.
Mm-hmm. And the phrase, a drastic change is coming in soon, that would refer to...
My own behavior.
Pardon me?
Lorraine and I had not been spending as much time together as we had in the past. Due to the demands of the election, holding public office, I resolved to be more attentive to her, more supportive.
Oh, that's what you were doing that morning, holding your wife's head as she was dying of cyanide poisoning. You were being more attentive, more supportive.
You can make light of that moment, Mr. Hodges, because you didn't have to live it. To see the person you loved the most dying in your arms. There is no pain on earth greater than that. I'm gonna be out of here soon, Graham, and it'll be just like old times. All that stuff that we said we never did together, we're gonna do, I promise. Remember that sailboat I talked about?
Dad, how did Mom die?
Well, son, you were there, you saw.
No, I didn't. You locked yourself in the study with her, remember?
Graham, I need you to think clearly. I'm going to ask my attorney to put you on the stand. I need you to say that Mom had been sick all morning. It wasn't all of a sudden or anything like that.
You want me to lie?
You know, son, you never really knew my dad, your grandfather. But I'm going to tell you something about him. He was a very, very selfish man. It was always about what he wanted. He didn't care that he hurt me, that he humiliated me. And time after time, he let me down. Nobody's feelings mattered but his. Nobody's. Well, I made myself a promise to never be like that. I've always been there for my family, for you and your mother, for Ellen and the girls. And now, all I'm asking you is to please be there for me. Don't be like everyone else. Don't you betray me. I don't want people to believe these vicious, filthy lies. I need your help. I am counting on you, son. No, Graham. Graham. What are you... Don't do this to me! Graham!
Let's go. Time's up.
Mrs. Ferris, it has been suggested that the reason you're testifying against your former husband is that you are angry with him for divorcing you and marrying Lorraine, and that now you are using Lorraine's death to get your revenge. Is that true?
No, not at all. After the divorce, I was angry, I was resentful, but as time went by, I grew to really like Lorraine. And when she came down with the same illness that I have, I felt very close to her. It's just very hard to understand what this illness can do to you. And I don't mean just physically. It's really depressing not knowing what's wrong, not knowing if it'll ever end.
In Lorraine Ferris's case, the symptoms caused by the selenium poisoning faded away, but yours never have. Why is that?
I've been poisoned for too long.
And what are your doctors telling you?
That my kidneys have suffered irreversible damage, and that the poison is spreading throughout my body.
Tomatoes and the onions, please?
Well, I'm still getting the hang of this grill, so you can either have your burgers burnt, slightly burnt, or dripping red. Graham?
I'd rather have mine cooked by Sarah.
I can't say that I blame you.
Well, thank you. Mom, phone's for you.
It's all yours, Sarah. Hello?
I understand it's sunny in your part of the state. Are you enjoying your day?
Actually, I am. The kids and I are having a barbecue.
Graham's there as well?
Yes, he is.
Good for him. I thought you'd be interested to know my appeal starts next week. I've got a new attorney and he is very confident. If everything goes well, I'll be home in a few months. I can't wait to see you again. I miss you.
Well, you'll just have to get used to that feeling because your appeal's going to be turned down just like the last one and the one before that. Don't expect a Christmas card.
Let's go.
Oh, those smell good.
Mom, how do you want your burger?
Medium rare, please.
Medium rare.